We should also thank Sandy Karasayam. I'm not sure that I've said that correctly at all. But also the moderators for those sessions and everyone who participated in those sessions. So yeah, thank you, Michelle. Good idea. That was really good. And yes, it's always annoying when you get booted out of those sessions because you're right in the middle of a good point.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, Carolyn, if I can't see Lauren, but if we could just thank Lauren for that session. It was really interesting to hear her clinician's perspective on.
Yeah, she always makes a lot of sense, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Lauren, and all of the presenters and moderators for those sessions.
Yes, again, if I could thank Sandy, and I'm sure she or I will be very happy to answer myotonic dystrophy related questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Alistair. That's great. And lovely to see you back on our board as well. Thank you, Alistair. Good. So we're going to go straight into our lived experience panel. I know that there's quite a few people on the line that have joined just for this section. So let's get into our lived experience panel. I wanted to introduce the 4 panelists and then we will go to a bit of a Q&A style session with them. So our first panelist is Jack Bailey. Are you here with us today, Jack?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. Hi, Jack. Welcome. And thank you for spending time with us this afternoon. You're right smack bang in the middle of HSC exams. So I really appreciate you taking time out from studying. That's really great. You live in a small country town called Maclean up the north coast of New South Wales. And you're probably closer to Brisbane than you are to Sydney, actually.
Much closer to Brisbane.
Yeah, and you've got goals that surround moving to uni at the end, or beginning of next year, I guess. So yeah, we'd love to hear a bit more from you in a minute. I'll just introduce the other panelists and we'll come back to you, Jack. Jamison Leeson. Hi, Jamison. Thanks for joining us today. You're 19. Hi, yeah, hi. You've got SMA. I forgot to say Jack has Duchenne and Jamison has SMA like me. And you're our sporting champion, Jamison. You're in the Tokyo, I was about to say the Toyota Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics, Paralympics back in last year. And you're also from a regional area, coming from the Dunedoo area, which I always have a giggle at the name of Dunedoo, which I shouldn't say that. It's out near Dubbo, isn't it? It's out in the central west area. Yeah, and you've just gone through or just about to get through your first year of uni. So yeah, we'll come back and talk to you about all those exciting achievements as well. Thanks, Jamison. Kate Thomas. Hi, Kate. There you are. Good. You're all on my same screen now. You're a freelance journalist and content producer. You're actually one of our stars from our Working Wheels program 7 years ago. So it's wonderful to be able to catch up with you and see what you're up to now. You're going to tell us all about that, but also your work that you're doing with Higher Up and how you do manage with support and some of the things that happened in the last few years that we can all guess what that involved. So thank you. Welcome, Kate. Julie, my friend Julie. Hello, Julie. You're the oldest of the group, so you go last. Obviously not as old as I am, but you believe in a society that empowers people with disability, just like we all do, and really working for inclusion and equity and education of the general public. So you're working at the Disability Royal Commission at the moment, and you've also worked at the City of Sydney, Reserve Bank, and at the University of New South Wales. You're also involved in the Disability Diversity and Disability Alliance, and you've also got your own business. So gosh, Julie, how do you have time for anything? We're going to find out a little bit more about that, but I might just get everyone to welcome our panelists and give them a little clap in the chat for spending time with us this afternoon. I'm going to go back to you, Jack, our youngest panelist, but you are now in the depths of adulthood in 18. Now you're 18 years old, so well done, and hopefully you'll get through the rest of your HSC all good and be off and doing wonderful things. So tell us, Jack, when we were preparing for this session, I asked you, what are you passionate about?
I think, yeah, I'm passionate about my own independence, and I guess everyone's independence, and just ensuring that my passion, I guess, is making sure my disability doesn't stop me from doing anything that I want to do. So
that's a good attitude. It's a good place to start, Jack.
Independence, yeah. I think, is the
independence.
The
good word. Excellent. And tell us all about what you've been doing with your HSC. How have you been managing, you know, with all the practical and the emotional stress of doing a HSC?
So HSC has been big. It's I guess it's exhausting for everyone, but it's definitely another consideration when you have a neuromuscular condition. For me, it's been about balancing everything. It's I'm aware I can't study quite as much as everyone else. I get too fatigued.
Mhm.
So that's a big one, is just learning study programs that kind of work for me.
Mhm.
The other one is we've been managing getting reasonable adjustments from the Education Standards Authority, which can be very difficult given there's a lot you have to prove, which seems silly when they've got all that information already. So
Yeah, I've heard about that issue recently. Some of our other members have been talking about the difficulty getting reasonable adjustments and, you know, extra time or scribe or so forth. You wouldn't think that
Yeah.
having a muscular dystrophy would mean that you would be battling those things. That seems to be a really big
at
issue.
a baseline, anyone with a neuromuscular condition should receive provisions for a writer in the HSC, extra time to manage that, rest breaks, and you should be entitled to bathroom breaks. That's a big one that gets pushed back, but it is a consideration.
And what other sort of supports or strategies have you had to help you managing Year 12?
So the other one is our school is completely, well, it meant to be completely digital, but so having a good laptop is a big consideration. So that's been part of the management, is ensuring the assistive technology is there. So Mac laptops are really good. At the moment, they've got the best voice to text functionality, which I understand that they are expensive, but there's some costs that I think are beneficial. If there's any people transitioning to high school or parents with children transitioning to high school, often Chromebooks are recommended. They don't have the lifespan in terms of accessible features to kind of manage. So that's one thing. Yeah.
And what about any fun stuff happening for you, Jack? I mean, you got schoolies coming up. Tell us about that. Or have you had your formal yet? What's going on the fun side?
No, we haven't had our formal yet. We did have a charity ball earlier in the year, which that's very good, but it also has its own challenges. The one I learnt there is I can't quite get as dressed up as other people, and it's just working out what actually works. So that's a
that's a
consideration.
practical consideration. I reckon you got your own style though, Jack. So, you know,
just not comparing to what other people are wearing.
Exactly. Don't be a sheep. Don't be a sheep. Yeah. All right. Good, mate. I'm going to also just quickly turn to about your location. You're in a regional area. How are you managing with getting support? Is your mum and dad supporting you, or have you got some support workers in?
Yeah, so at the moment I have support workers for personal care, because it can be hard to get anything outside of that. For anything else, it's really mum and dad. I have managed to add some what did you call it, community access shifts, but it's very scheduled. There's nothing, there's no, everything has to be put in place a month beforehand.
Yeah, I think everyone's nodding about that one, that our lives are very programmed, aren't they?
Yeah, and I understand that's consideration everywhere, but the lack of support workers in regional areas can make it very difficult.
Yeah. Jamison's nodding her head. Yeah, I'll get to you in a sec, Jamison. Just before I finish with you, Jack, what do you do for fun?
I do a lot of cooking. That
Oh, well, I'm
something
coming
I
up to
do.
the plane.
I watch a lot of movies, which I
Yeah.
think it's I enjoy doing that and learning about the production of them just as much as kind of watching them. So
Oh, so you're a
that,
bit of a critic as well as
yeah,
you
yeah.
watch. Great, Jack. All right, well, we'll come back to you if there's any other questions. We can get back to you. But Jamison, leading on from what Jack was saying about what he's passionate about, what are you passionate about, Jamison?
Yeah, well, I'm passionate about the sport of bocce,
Really?
especially, particularly
I didn't know
getting
you were
more,
going to say that.
yeah, particularly with getting more people with disabilities playing. Yeah, I wasn't able to participate in sport before I came across bocce, so yeah, I'm really passionate.
Right. So what was some of the things that you've gotten out of it?
Oh, a whole bunch of things, especially working as a team. Like I said before, I had never played in any other team sports before this, so getting those teamwork skills, and obviously getting to travel all around the world. I mean, I always had a dream of traveling around the world, but not quite this much. And obviously, I've made a whole bunch of friends along the way as well.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, bocce's such a great one. We were watching you know, we were glued to the TV last year when watching you and Daniel play and do so well in Tokyo. So yeah, we're very proud of you, Jamison. Very good.
Thank you.
And tell us more about the realities of traveling with a disability, like that particular issue that we've talked about. Did you want to just mention some of the challenges that you have?
Oh, it's always interesting, particularly because when you travel for sport, you don't really get to organize a whole lot of things yourself. So we get a whole lot of experiences. Particularly my biggest challenge was when I went to Tokyo last year. The trip was about 24 hours long to get there, and my medication, the new one for SMA, risdiplam, has to be kept refrigerated, which was very tricky keeping it cold.
Oh, I guess they don't let you
hours.
just take an esky on the plane, right?
Yeah, but it had to kept under like 8 degrees for like 24 hours with no extra ice bricks. So that was a big challenge. And also when you don't book your own motel rooms, you don't know what you're getting. And I think one of not my proudest moment was having to shower on the toilet, but we made it work.
That's innovative thinking, creative problem solving.
Sure
Is
is.
one of the biggest skills we get, isn't it? Yeah, good on you, Jamison. That's great. And any big trips coming up or any goals, future goals for bocce?
Yeah, so I'm going to Bahrain in 2 weeks and then going back to Brazil at the end of the year for the World Championships.
Yeah,
so
you don't you
very
just go
exciting.
local, do you? Bahrain and Brazil, you know, like, yeah, she's an international jet setter. Well done, Jamison. We're very, very proud of you. I might move over to Kate because I know we're short on time, but we'll come back to, I'm sure there might be some questions that people have. So Kate, as I was saying before, you did the Working Wheels program 7 years ago. Tell us what you've been up to since then.
I'm Caroline. I'm so glad that you did the calculations on that. Like, that's a long time ago. So I guess it's a few years to cover. So I'll speak in milestones a little bit. So I graduated from university and I was on campus, which was very exciting. I got my first job, and then I moved to Sydney from Gilgandra. So I'm not too far away from Jamison. I'm about an hour or two. I'm not too sure. I'm very bad at geography, but a bit of a drive. And then after I moved to Sydney, I actually got another job as well. So I guess I've kind of been back and forth a little bit. And then when COVID arrived, I moved back home. So it's
So tell us about your time in Sydney, Kate, when you moved all the way from the country down to the big smoke. What was that like?
It was a bit of fun. I'm so glad that I did it as well. I think when I was speaking before, Caroline, I think I said that it felt like it fell into place, but there was a lot of work that went into it to make it feel that way. So I guess in my case, I needed to have a support team. So I made lots of phone calls. I talked to lots of friends about the support that they use and who they go through. And I actually ended up going through Hire, which is who I work for now. But I built up a team by just messaging people, having the conversations, trying to work out if we are a good match, and then meeting them when I went to Sydney. And then also finding the right accommodation. That was probably the most nervous part for me. I guess in Sydney, we all know that there's some places that aren't particularly accessible, and that includes housing. So I was very fortunate. It was a bit serendipitous. My job that I had, it was based in Redfern, and there was an open house one day. We went to it, and it was perfect. It was a ground floor apartment right next to work, and I had to like, I guess, also think about transport as well if I wanted to like travel around the city and how that would make that work. And Redfern is very central. I learned it's right next to Central Station, so it worked out well in that sense. And I guess in terms of, I was very lucky that I was in a, I had my mom and dad's support, so I wouldn't have been able to cover the cost of the rent at the time. But then eventually, as I worked, I got to the financial position that I could pay for the rent myself, which is
that sounds pretty similar to most young people these days.
yeah.
I'm pretty impressed that you moved out of home before you were 40. Yeah, and finding an accessible apartment in Redfern, like that's a bit of striking gold, isn't it?
It did. It really felt that way.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I like that approach that you did a lot of planning, but you also just let things work out, like, you know, put it out to the universe and good things happen. So that's really helpful. Thanks, Kate. So when we talked as well, you were talking about the what's next for you, because you came back home after COVID, well, during COVID, and you're still out at your parents in Gilgandra. So what's next for you?
It's a good question. I think that's particularly this year, I've had my job. I've been working at Higher Up for about 2 years now. And it's like, I think I'm up for a new challenge. I'm ready for something new. So I started to ask myself the question, like, what's next? What can I do differently? So I started to do freelance work as well, so freelance journalism. So I've had the pleasure of interviewing Jamison, who's on the panel for before Tokyo. And I'm thinking I might have to go with you to Brazil to do like a on-camera piece while you're there. So just
like a correspondent. Yeah.
So I guess in the what's next, it's kind of, it's a bit daunting. There's so many options out there available. But also I recognize that in my work that I have, I can do it all online as well. So I can do it from my home base in Uganda. I can do it in Sydney. I can do it in Brazil. So like it's things like that as well. So I guess I've tried to ask myself what I want to contribute to the world and what are my passions, what excites me, what can challenge me. So I've done the very, I feel like it's very organized, which is very unlike me, but I created a list of the people that inspire me, the organizations that inspire me, and also the roles that I'd like to do. And so from there, I'm hoping to build a career out from that. So it's very interesting, but I think it's also a challenge in the fact that I know there's so much that you can do as well. I think it's really being open to the possibility out there. And kind of, it's a bit of an existential question, but what is it that we hope to do in a finite world or infinite world with a finite life? So that's the challenge that I have at the moment. But yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, very wise, Kate. I like that you wrote things down and you asked yourself those questions and you did a bit of that self-reflection and discovery. That's really, really useful. Thank you so much, Kate. And you'll make sure you keep us informed about where you do end up going next and what you end up doing. But yeah, we'll come back to you. But lastly, on the panel, we've got our dear friend Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. I wanted to go back to school, so sort of circle back to Jack. And I just wondered, when you were at school, Julie, what were you thinking about doing in the future?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, so won't be naming years, but I'm someone with SMA. So, you know, when I was in high school, coming up towards year 12, what am I going to do? It was really a question that weighed heavily on me. My dream job, I think at the time, was being a teacher. You know, I feel like education is such an important role, especially for somebody with a neuromuscular condition, because, you know, we are limited to what can we really do. We can, you know, books and education and learning was so important to me. And I guess in high school, I was just thinking, do the best that I can in the HSC so I can have the most opportunities that I can reach.
Education was really important for you, Julie.
Super important.
Yeah, and so tell us about, since graduating, I think you said you had a degree in human relations and a policy degree, was that right?
So when I finished, I actually went into psychology because I was thinking, well, what am I good at and what can I really do practically with the limitations I have in this body? And it's talking. So I thought psychology, easy enough. So I did 4 years of psychology and I realized that wasn't something I wanted to pursue. Just the type of person I am, it would be just too difficult to separate myself from being emotionally invested into other people. So I actually took a year off. At the time, I was also looking for jobs, which we know is incredibly difficult for people with disabilities to get meaningful employment. Compared to my other uh, friends in uni who came straight out and were able to get jobs relatively easily. So that was a bit of a bummer. But I actually was like, well, what am I going to do? I think I see opportunities. There's something called Stepping Into, and they are a graduate program that gives people studying certain degrees internship opportunities into sort of government organizations or banks. So I saw that opportunity and I was like, um, you know, this looks like something really interesting. I need something more in the field of business because that's what's booming. You have to sort of look at what's happening in the market to know where your possibilities are going to
And
be the
Julie, what did
greatest.
that program involve?
So I went back to studying a master's degree in human resources um, and commerce. And that experience, while I was studying university, it was a master's program. So it was a night and evening course, which actually made it really easy. And master's degrees are only 2 years. So I actually did take my time a little more. And I got to do an internship at the Reserve Bank uh, of Australia, which was amazing. That was in diversity and inclusion. I guess for me, a passion has always been around equity, people lifting up people with disability, and that requires so much community attitude changes and visibility of disabled people out there. So that's always been a passion. So I did that internship and then I came out and still it was quite a struggle to find human resource related employment. So I actually again kind of went back to the drawing board and at the time there were really great peer groups. I know we've kind of mentioned the value of peer groups out there, and we've got wonderful people like Carolyn who's got years of experience ahead of me to tell me and show me and
You're not giving away my age, are you, Julie?
but it was just wonderful to connect with older people with disability who have worked, who have gone through the system, who do know what's going, what's happened and what's changing.
Yeah, and so what's your other tips then for other young people with a disability who are looking, or even people who are looking at changing careers because of their changing physical needs? What sort of things would
Yeah.
you say to people? This is what helped.
Okay. For this first thing, as a younger person, I think for me, I was an extremely shy person. And I had to really kind of come to a point in time where it's like being shy is not going to get me where I want. And I started to say yes. When you have a New Year's resolution, this was one of the ones that I actually feel like made a difference to me. And I actually did it and could do it because it's as easy as saying 3 little letters, yes, to any opportunities that come your way. So as a young person, I said, yes, yes, yes. Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this public speaking? Do you want to be on the panel for NIRD? Yes. It forces you to get out of
Networking.
your
That's a
comfort zone.
networking opportunity as
It
well, isn't it?
is.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And
Excellent. And what sort
yeah,
of skills do you think that, all this sort of saying yes to opportunities and doing different courses and different internships, all the stuff you've done, what sort of skills do you think you've been able to develop from all that experience?
I think it just develops your confidence in yourself to be able to, um, have these opportunities to present yourself and what you can demonstrate. Because I think people will start to notice these little things about you and start thinking about you for when they come across something and they
Mm,
start pushing opportunities your way. So I think that's been, one of the things that has been just great to say yes. Just one other little really proactive tip, well, kind of post COVID, in this working space is that for people wanting to find flexibility in their work, make the most of what's happening now. Everybody is not working in the office. Nobody wants to go back to the office. So really take that opportunity to ask for your needs. I think one thing I realized was I'm not going to settle for like a job that's going to put me at a disadvantage health-wise, well-being-wise. So it's a really great time to make your demands.
Yeah, that's really good tip there, Julie. I think that, you know, the silver lining of COVID has been in terms of flexibility and, you know, working from home and communicating with people across the world and not having to, you know, not having to physically be in places. So yeah, there's been some real good benefits for people with disabilities, hasn't there? Julie, thank you for sharing your story, and there's lots more, but we are on a time crunch, unfortunately. People, we will be finishing in like 5 minutes, so please stick around. We just wanted to take any questions for the panel. I know that there's some lovely comments in the panel there as well. Someone saying good luck, Jack, to your HSC. We're all wishing you the best, mate. If there's any other questions, does anyone want to put their hand up on the hand up button, or is there any other questions that people have, or does the panel have any other tips that they want to add? Lots of people are saying thank you, your contributions were so helpful, and thank you for sharing your experiences.
Carolyn, if the panel is okay, I can add their emails to the post-event email to everyone for them to follow up with any questions.
Oh, I'll ask them. What do you think, guys? Kate's saying yes.
Is everyone okay with that?
Kate's connecting. Kate's looking for the next job, so she's connecting. Jamison? Yep.
Yeah, all good.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Oh,
Julie and Jack. Jack might not reply till after he finishes HSC, but you might reply after that. So that's good. Yeah, great. Everyone's saying thank you so much for sharing your experiences, guys. You're our young leaders in our community. We hope you stay around in our community and keep doing all the wonderful things that you're achieving, all the passions and all the breaking of the barriers that you're doing. It's just wonderful to see young people doing amazing things, and we're very, very proud of all of you. So yeah, I think that we'll leave it at that, and we'll just start wrapping up today's session. Thank you. Can everyone thank all the panelists? Thank you, Kate, Jack, Julie, and Jamison. Did everyone realise they're all J's except you, Kate? It's the JJJ panel and Kate. Thank you so much. That's really good. All right, so we'll go back to just wrapping up from today. There was so much, gosh, so much valuable content. It's been all recorded, so if people wanted to go back and see more detailed slides and so forth, that will be up on our website in the coming weeks. We will want to thank all of the speakers from today and all of the moderators, the organisers, everyone behind the scenes, Laura and Alicia, thank you so much. Charlotte's been there cheering everyone on. It's been a wonderful day. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I'm certainly going to have a good rest tonight. I don't know about everyone else, but thank you for sticking around so long. Thank you for those of you who especially came in and offered your experience and suggestions and support for everyone in the community. I think that's what we really have a real strength in our community, is that ability to support and be with others in our similar situations. And I think that's really important. There's a survey. We want to get your official feedback. These kinds of things don't just happen easily. There's a lot of work and preparation that goes into it. We want to hear from you about what you enjoyed and what you want to have as topics for the next one, and any other peer connect toppings that you would like. That would be really good. The topics. Yeah, we're just saying thank you to everybody. So thanks everyone, and we'll wish you all. We all actually, can you believe it's 4:30? I can't believe we just finished on time. We did an amazing job. Gosh, we made up speed there. So yeah, thanks everybody. Anything else I've forgotten? Thank you, everyone. Bye. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you. Thanks. See you at Community Day.
Oh, Community Day. Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
That's a good idea. We should plug Community Day. Come and see us in real life on the 26th of November. We've got free lunch, games, prizes. It's all happening down Olympic Park.
Yes.
Details on our website.
Yep, everything's on the website and in Talking Points. So we'll see you soon, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Lauren.